Whoa, 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 whoa. What's this? This is a DiamondBack mountain bike. What? I don't do, oh yeah, I do tune-ups on mountain bikes. Not so much the suspension, that gets sent out. Like pretty much all shops these days, not a lot of them do the internal services on suspension. But this cat is, well, someone we know, and he decided to buy a used mountain bike, and he knows it needs a lot of work. I know it needs a lot of work. It's gonna be a lot of work. So is this a diamond in the rough? No pun intended, being a diamondback, right? That's a diamondback, right? Or is it just a bust? We'll see. I'm looking forward to it. He brought in a lot of parts, so it's gonna be pretty much mostly new. And you notice that the crank's off? Yep, that is right. I knew that right off the bat the bearings were shot by just feeling them, so I pounded out the crank set literally and be able to pull the cups out to match them for a new set to come in by ordering. So in any case, without further ado, I will have descriptions and stuff, and details and descriptions and below, and we will dive into this, and man, we will do our guys magic. Man, we got a lot to work. Let's roll up our sleeves and dive into it after this.
Welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging out with a guy. Hi, I'm Justin the Guy. Obviously I have a garage shop. Take scary out of used, one bike at a time. If you want to be kept up to date on latest projects and topics, please like and subscribe.
Hey, welcome back to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging with a guy. On this old bike series, taking scary out of used, one bike at a time. And on this old bike series, we are diving into this diamondback. Diamondback has been around for several decades. Diamondback, you'll see probably a link below to a Diamondback BMX bike I just refurbished. Now we're going fast forward several decades later to the full suspension 29er. Well, Diamondback, I remember in the days of the 70s when I was a little squirt running around Loveland, Colorado. The BMX was big, and they had a little Diamondback, you know, snake with holographic stickers, and that's all I remember, really. Our competition in Parker Bikes, Destination Cyclery, was our competition. They carried Diamondback, which they had mountain bikes mainly. They did do a couple road bikes in the 90s, but mostly it was a mountain bike line. Pretty decent. I would say it was comparable to like the GT brand that we carry, the Gary Turner. So in any case, I mean, they made decent bikes, and they are currently owned by Pond Holdings, which is a company that owns Cervelo, Cannondale, Santa Cruz, Schwinn, Mongoose, GT, 50 different companies. Pond Holdings is a company that is based in, I believe, Germany and Europe, and they also own Porsche, Audi. So there's some metal in it, like, oh, they're a distributor or whatever. They pretty much own them. That's just kind of how, and the companies are ran independently in a sense. So they have their own little CEOs or whatever for each one of those companies, but Pond Holdings is the original owner where the buck stops. Anyway, going back to this bike here, we're looking at the XT componentry of Shimano. Has a Fox rear, Fox front suspension. What kind of wheels are these? Oh, they're just called Diamondback. Through axles with your more modern day suspension style recreational mountain bike. To get something like this new, you're probably looking at $3,000 to $4,000, somewhere around there. So this individual had a few mountain bikes, and he sold them, and then or gave them to his brother, whatever the case may be. Decided he wanted to get a bike again, so he picked up this one. I hope it was pretty inexpensive because it's beast. Yeah, and this is forewarning for any mountain bike. Mountain bikes are like Jeeps, right? They're designed to go off-road. There's a high likely they went off-road and got beat the hell out of. Therefore, refurbishing them is a big lift and a chore. Also tune-ups. And there's a lot of cost front heavy to mountain biking. So if that person didn't have the suspension tuned regularly after a certain amount of time, they probably need to be tuned up. It's not like one of those things like road bikes get ridden a couple times and thrown in the garage and forgotten about. Mountain bikes are usually beat and then beat again and thrown away wet and muddy and rusty and all that. So there's a lot of crazy stuff that can go on with a mountain bike. So buyer beware for the used market. Make sure you go through it diligently and understand if you're selling your mountain bike, you want to make sure it's tuned up, shifts, suspension's been, any records that you have to provide, like tune-ups and service tune-ups for the suspension and so forth, definitely have those on hand. That would enable you to sell the bike a little bit faster with a higher dollar. If not, you're going to get cut. I mean, right now the market's dropping and there's so many scaries when you look at bikes like this. The individual that bought this one knew it was going to be a pretty big upfront lift, so he brought in a whole box of parts. Let's review those box of parts. First and foremost, it has a double. I had to pound this out, literally, with a hammer to get this to come out. I need that later. You can see how much corrosion and gunk inside the bottom bracket is. So, and it's missing a chainring bolt and all sorts of good stuff. This can be cleaned up, and hopefully the teeth are straight for the most part. So this should be eligible to be cleaned up and salvaged. But I had to get new bearings because these guys were the originals, and my God, this one's like chunky. This one's sort of chunky, and this is after cleaning them up, and they're still dirty. Wow. Hint, got me one of these. So that's what I have to do to get the bottom bracket to work. But he dived in. The bottom bracket's around 45 bucks, not too bad. He wants some new grips. Yeah, grips and bar tape should be always switched out on a used bike to new to you bike. Reason being is it's just the U point. It's a contact, sweat, grit, boogers, all sorts of stuff. Got himself a cassette that's going to go on the back, which is very mindful. A backup suspension for the rear, which is still used and dirty, but I can clean it up and see if that one will work instead. He's also got rotors, thank goodness, because those look like they're beyond. And he got us some brakes, new Shimano disc brakes to go with this, with the rotors, and a new chain. So you're like, Justin, what else is left to even be replaced? Well, we got the front derailleur, rear derailleur. I'm going to replace the cables in the housing. That's just like house stuff, stock. The rear derailleur seems to be okay, so we're going to definitely ultrasonic clean those. Since the rotors are going to be replaced in the brakes, really it's just basically setting them up and bleeding with the hydraulic fluids. And hopefully there's all the bits. Yeah, there's all the bits that you need to do the hydraulic cut and install. I don't think it doesn't come with the fluid. Interesting. Anyway, I got fluid. It's mineral oil from, I use the Shimano, of course. And don't use just any mineral oil. These are mineral oils that are specifically designed for hydraulic brakes, so that's the stuff you want to use. So we got a good slew of parts. That's good, because obviously this chain is rusted to nothing. The cassette probably is just as bad and loose. So what's left that can be it set us back? Well, the shifters can be. This one's missing a cap, but he said he has one on order, so that should be coming in. That's pretty easy to install. But I want to make sure the shifting is working. So I think I went through the shifters just to see if they work. And then the derailleurs. Other pain points that could be on this bike, besides the rear shock that'd be switched out, the front shock possibly too. But is the pivots, are they tight? They feel tight, so we're going to clean them. I'm not going to totally disassemble it, but I'm going to clean it and also detail the frame a little bit to give it a little more, inspection, that kind of thing. The other thing I'm really concerned about is the wheels. I mean, if everything else is this rusty and beat up, those hubs are gonna need some work. And hopefully it's not beyond a point of repair. So I'm trying to make sure I have a good assessment before really diving into this, because I would hate to get to a certain part of the bike and go to the gym like, yeah, the frame's cracked or whatever the case may be. So I want to make sure I inspect all that first, and to, without further ado, make sure it's safe to proceed. But yeah, looking at the rims, they're not too bad. I don't, they need to be trued. So whoever had this before rode it. I mean, bike's supposed to be ridden, right? But really rode it. And we're gonna do what we can. Make sure I need my spacer for the bottom bracket, put it on there correctly, and make sure we got best foot forward on this guy. So let me dive into this, crank on some tunes. We'll review some parts in my next little stage here, and this is just kind of the intro, and the frame's going to be definitely, I'm going to definitely look at that, because the rest of it, if the frame is bad, to be honest, basically you have a box of parts. If the frame is okay, then you have a good base to work off of. But what makes the manufacturer, what makes the brands, what makes the ride, and all that is the frame. So without any hesitation, let's just dive into this. We'll just dive into it. All right, so we were looking at part compatibility and looked at the rear wheel, but turned out the rear wheel needed a center lock, not a 6-bolt. So that's one thing that's either possibly need to be ordered. Looked at the front hub, and the front hub is so grindy, needs to be overhauled, and it probably needs parts too. Even though we're replacing the rotor, the front, I mean, either the cones, or it's to the grindy to a point as mechanics touch. You're like, that's kind of, well, it needs a little more love. And then I took the cassette off, and looking at the cassette, yeah, it came off kind of, it was really floppy. And when I popped it apart, bam, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. Yeah, a free hub body explode in half. So I did the call, every sad mechanics call. Talked to the owner. It's like, okay, we're looking at another $50 for this, another $25 for that, a bottom bracket that we have on order to replace. And guess what? I found basically mud inside there. That just gives you the idea of how rough this has been ridden and neglected, to be honest. So when you go into what's going to cost for the rear suspension, rear suspension overhauls by Dirt Labs is like $150. This one's probably like $150 to $250. And that's even if you can get it to work correctly. And the headset is loose, and shifters and cables, well, that's probably the only thing that's still okay on this. Then you look at the pivot points and what needs to be looked at that. So you can get yourself into a severe rabbit hole real quick, like this situation. So unfortunately, the customer's going to think about it, see what's out there for maybe a possible, I mean, he really liked the green, but when you're talking about a free hub body that did this, yeah, that just shows you all the other stuff that we're dealing with. Can't win them all. So this one I would say is it's a bust. It's a dud. It's a flop. It's let's scratch our head, return all the new parts, and rethink this, and go forward with something maybe less used, maybe, if there is such a thing. Need to find somebody that bought a mountain bike and rode it like twice and put it in the garage for the 6 years and got into it. That's the bike you're looking for. This one was actually ridden a little too hard. In any case, that's where we're at. Well, unfortunately, this one I'm going to have to let go, and yeah, leave you with the busted free hub body thought. Well, until next time, if you had scenarios like this or complete train wreck repairs, yeah, put in the comments below, share with the community. If you have problems with these or these have an issue, let me know too. I work mostly on road or commuter bikes, and not as many mountain bikes as much these days, so there's definitely issues out there that definitely need to be addressed. But in any case, please share with the community. I'll leave descriptions and so forth below. And if it's nice in your neck of the woods, like it is here, I probably should go for a ride and kind of let my mind decompress over this sadness, because it really pains me that I can't. It's to the point I can't fix it. That really kind of gets me. I love fixing stuff, and this is just a little too beyond. In any case, well, have a wonderful day in your neck of the woods, and until next time, have a wonderful day. I don't think we can save it. No, I don't think we can save it. We have definitely flatlined on this one. Call it. 4:47, Tuesday afternoon. It's quitting time, and this is toast. On to the next bike. Apparently not this one. Rest in peace, mountain bike. You have had many, many miles. You've hit one too many jumps. You've taken too much abuse and not reflected onto your rider to slow their ass down. I am sorry. Final words from the bike mechanic. Rest in peace in the recycling bin somewhere. If you find enlightenment in the mountain bike heavens above, rest your real soul onto the next.